Hi, I am here to talk about my favorite books from 2025, the books that I have read this year. And amongst them, I have picked out four books. Honestly, I've been reading more this year. I've been an avid reader all my life, but I think the last few years have been a bit of slow reading years for me. And this year, I think I am regaining my pace back and I'm reading more than usual. So I guess that's why I found more books than usual that I like. So let's get into it. The first book that I want to talk about is What You Are Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama. I read it back in January and I read it in audiobook format. And I regret not having a physical copy of it because I tend to not revisit audiobooks. I like to revisit physical paperbacks or hardbacks, but I don't have one and I really want to reread it. But yeah, so this book is kind of like a slice of life Japanese fiction, and it is sort of like a collection of short stories that follow different individuals who are at points in their lives where they are feeling lost, dejected, or low. And it is all connected by a library where they somehow end up, and it sort of changes their paths in life. It sort of fills them up with hope, and it feels like a fairy tale collection for adults, honestly. Like, the stories are very simple. Nothing spectacular happens, nothing out of the ordinary happens, but it's kind of like a comforting read, a comforting collection of stories that you can pick up when you are feeling low or when you want some comfort. The next book that I want to talk about is Earthling by Sayaka Murata. This one follows Natsuki, a young girl who believes that she is an alien in order to cope up with the reality that she doesn't like. Uh, and I think this book is kind of strange, dark, and very traumatic at times. But I really like this book because it is kind of extraordinary in the sense that it critiques the world. And I felt really connected to the main character, Natsuki, even though she's a very strange person, and like, not always, I was not always resonating with her, but at certain points in the novel I could really feel what she was feeling, and I could really understand how, like, she felt and why she felt the way that she felt. Like, I could relate to her feeling like an alien living in this world, living in this system where things are sort of pre-decided, and there's a pre-decided notion of what is normal, what a person should be like. And I could really relate to that a lot. I could relate to the feeling of isolation that kind of comes from this feeling. Um, this book is also very dark, and I think I said this in the last video also. You should really check the content warning before picking this up. I cried in the first 100 pages of this book. Like, yeah, the first 100 pages are traumatic. So, yeah, just check the content warning before picking this up. The next book that I want to talk about is The Wedding People by Alison Aspash. This one I read recently, and I was not expecting to like it this much, honestly, because it felt like a rom-com, and I'm not a rom-com reader. However, after reading it, I can say that it's not really a rom-com. It's more of a blend of literary fiction with rom-com, and it's not all just about a wedding. It's actually about two people, Phoebe and Lila. Phoebe is a 38-year-old who has recently divorced her husband and is sort of feeling lost in her life. She goes to a hotel to kill herself. And at the same hotel, Laila, a 28-year-old, is having her wedding. And she had actually booked the entire hotel for her wedding. But uh, Phoebe accidentally booked the room there. And now Lila is concerned that Phoebe is going to ruin her wedding. And this book kind of shows how Lila and Phoebe become friends and they kind of help each other understand the truths about themselves that they were not ready to face. I really like Phoebe and I resonated with her a lot, even though I'm not 38 or divorced. But Phoebe works in academia, and I also am kind of in the field, and I could relate how terrible that sometimes makes you feel. And it's very inspiring to see Phoebe's transformation by the end of the book. Like it's kind of comforting in a very strange way. Um, I really like this book actually. Like this is a kind of book that you could pick up when you are feeling lost in life. The next book that I want to talk about is Aline by Otessa Moshfegh. Um, this book follows Aline. It is set in 1960s, and Aline is sort of unlikable, like all of Otessa Moshfegh's characters. And it's a story of Aline kind of finding herself, finding her voice, finding her confidence mainly. Like she starts as a person who hates herself, but through the course of this book, she kind of regains her confidence. She learns how to love life by the end of it. And strangely, all of this happens through a murder mystery, not mystery, but like, I don't know, a thriller sort of way. But it's not really a thriller in the traditional sense. It's more of literally fiction blended in with a little bit of thriller elements here and there. Mainly, it's the inner dialogues of Eileen that makes this book interesting. And yeah, I really liked it because of that. Um, I really liked how it kind of touches upon the expectations placed on women. And it's really a slow character study of Eileen as a person and how she grows. I mean, she's unlikable all through the novel, but yeah. So, these are my favorites from 2025 so far, and I hope I continue to find favorites in the coming months as well. See you in the next video. Bye.